now, where sports and food collide. Basketball and barbecue, every fan's delight. From the court to the grill, stories we will share. Tasty bites and highlights together everywhere. Sports Bites, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. From fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports Bites, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. Football and fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports Bites, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride.
Oh, good Tuesday evening, everybody. The new little intro song that I kind of put together with the help of AI. I mean, AI all over the place for those wrestling fans. Kind of a little Sami Zayn feel, but all in all, I kind of like it. A lot going on today, guys. Welcome into the show, Sports Bites. A couple of quick housekeeping things. Time is going to be changing when we get to the season. I've talked with the guys at the Golden Boot, and I'm going to do kind of a preview and wrap-up show on Mondays and Fridays, kind of leading right into what their broadcast is going to be. So we're going to do some collaboration, get into it, but when football season starts, I like to do the breakdown of maybe the top games, like top 6 games to really pay attention to in the country that weekend, then do a recap, look ahead. We'll talk NFL. We'll talk all that. But today, it's a big day for the college football dogs. Again, if you're watching on Dog TV Network, welcome in. You see all the socials down here. Subscribe, like, share, comment. I want you guys to comment in this. I like everybody being a part of this broadcast. Cody said Sami Zayn all day. That's what, when it came out, man, I was pretty happy with how it turned out. But college football dogs, man, we're moving. We're grooving. We're shaking. We're doing everything the right way. And today was really, for me, the unofficial start of the college football season. And I say that because the first power conference has media days today. And of course, we have a guy on the spot, a guy who's in Big 12 country, graduated from a Big 12 school. He's the lead reporter for the Big 12, the national Big 12 reporter for the college football dogs. Man, I welcome in Alex Blackburn live from Vegas, man. I'm going to say this real quick. I covered the Big 12 for about a decade. All I got was Dallas. You get Vegas right off the rip, man.
Hey, can't win them all, right? Can't be as lucky as I am, I guess.
Well, go ahead and kind of what was your take of day one? Brett Yormark, obviously, going to be the first guy speaking. What did you take from Brett Yormark and his message to the world about Big 12 football this year?
So he definitely let his progressivism and bullishness shine in this opening statement. Essentially, he just said, we're here to stay, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure we stay and to make sure that the Big 12 brand. he highlighted thanks TJ, thank you. But he highlighted specifically the commercial branding and working on the private equity and just kind of leaning into this new era of college sports that we're seeing. And that involves private equity and commercial branding. He said he was in favor of putting commercial patches on jersey sleeves, on officials, much like the NBA. And overall, he said that these 16 teams that are here now are the teams that are going to be the pioneers, I guess, of this new era of college sports. So,
what has the mood been like down there? Again, Oklahoma and Texas leaving. We'll get into that a little bit later. So I know you have thoughts on that. But what was kind of the vibe you picked up from the teams that were there? And I've got the list. We'll go over. I'll pull it up and show you, show everybody that's watching on YouTube on the live who was all there today. But what was generally the vibe of players, coaches at Big 12 Media Day today?
Big anticipation and great expectations. I think everybody in this conference and everybody that was there today knows that this conference is going to be competitive from top to bottom and is going to be an absolute dogfight. You have, at the very least, 9 different teams that could very easily make a run at the Big 12 title. Quite a few of them were there today. And what you got from the players, coaches, everybody that was there was this sense of we're going to be the team that does that. We have the ability to do that. Even teams that, struggled out of the gate in the Big 12, like Cincinnati, they were saying, we've got great power up front. Our skill possessions are developing, but they're developing well and they're developing quickly. We think we have a shot at getting to that next level and being a competitor in this conference in their second year. And for teams like Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Utah, and Kansas State, the ones that are the well-known competitors, it was a matter of, we're not taking these teams lightly. We are going to lean into what we do well and where we're at as a program. I mean, when I talked to Iowa State's Matt Campbell, essentially what he highlighted was the youth and development and depth that his program has right now. Last year, they went 7-6. That was a pleasant surprise after being picked to finish near the bottom because of how young their roster was. But Rocco Bet surprised a lot of people. They've got a great receiving core and a quickly developing running back core as well, in Abu Sama, Eli Sanders, and Cartavius Morton. Just overall, you kind of got that sense of there's great expectations for every single team. So,
right. I'm going to pull it up real quick, Alex. I'm going to get your thoughts. Let me pull up this diagram. Here's who all was today for those who really can't see. Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, TCU, Iowa State, Utah, Kansas State, and Texas Tech. I want to talk a little bit about Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy, and obviously they had Ollie Gordon there. First question, were you surprised that Ollie showed up with the recent DUI arrest? Were you surprised that Ollie Gordon was there and that they made him available?
I mean, it was a little bit, yeah. I kind of talked with Mike Gundy and realized, he's probably not going to miss any games. And then it was officially confirmed that he's not going to miss any games, that he's being punished in-house and will, I guess, likely be punished by Gundy himself. He highlighted in his press conference that they had multiple pretty emotional conversations regarding his potential suspension and the punishment that he should receive, and regarding the decisions that he made. And overall, it seems like Ollie Gordon's remorseful. It seems like he's feels incredibly bad for what he did. But that does surprise me a little bit. I mean, you do have this DUI arrest that was made, and that's a serious accusation, especially for a kid that's underage. He's only 20 years old, and he was, I believe, close to twice the legal limit. And it was interesting to see for sure. I'm not sure if it was entirely unexpected, just given the mood around this thing or this incident, because there were people that said that he should be suspended for multiple games. This is a terrible decision on his part, and then there were people that were just like, okay, it's this kid's first mistake. We can let this one slide a little bit, but overall it was kind of a coin flip in a way.
I was talking to Gundy. I mean, Gundy's one that, again, I've had many conversations with Mike, whether it be a Big 12 Media Day. I remember watching him play as a high school player at Midwest City High School when he came to Oklahoma State. But what was it like dealing with Mike? Because we all know sometimes he can be a little bristly with the media.
He definitely kind of gave that off for sure. He was a little short with a few answers, a little snarky with a few answers in a way. But overall, that's some of the best media behavior I've seen from Mike. He handled it pretty well. And he kind of just said, look, Ollie and I had talks, we're tight. And that's one thing about Mike Gundy is he's definitely a player's coach. I mean, obviously, you've got the iconic rant, come at me, I'm 40. But he truly is a player's coach, and he was there for his player and made sure to hold his player accountable while also showing, love and respect for him. One of the questions was about Ollie Gordon during his press conference, and he said, look, ask Ollie himself. It's not my question to answer. It's Ollie's question to answer. And in the end, it's definitely it's Ollie's question to answer. And I think that he handles his players like mature adults, but mature adults that he has that love and respect for. And that's what we saw today.
And you go back to that Bobby Reed, because he was protecting Bobby Reed, who was a quarterback, and it was Jenny Carlson, and I'll say her name. She might be out there, I don't know. She was a writer for the Daily Oklahoman, and she did kind of attack Bobby Reed's character at that time. And I may be an Oklahoma guy, but I love seeing a coach that's going to defend his players. And they've got a really good shot this year. Alan Bowman, it seems like he's like Cam Rising, like he's been in college for a long time, but Oklahoma State is going to be competitive. Bringing up Cam Rising, what was it like getting to talk with Utah, this being their first foray into the Big 12?
They seem confident. They seem like they are going into this new conference with, new faces, but expectations remain the same. Obviously, they had their issues with health last year with Cam Rising and Brant Kuth, both taking season-ending injuries, and their offense took a major blow from that. But they're back, and with the 7 years that Cam Rising has, there is a ton of experience there, and this is going to be probably the most experienced offense in the Big 12 this year. And with that, you're going up against Big 12 defenses, which can be pretty hit or miss. There's certain Pac-12 defenses that are like that as well, granted, or former Pac-12, I should say. But in the end, they seemed very confident. Cam Rising, during his press breakout was very, well put together. He seemed like he had been doing this for a long time because he's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And, Kyle Whittingham, he's been in this business a long, long time himself. And he actually even hinted at his potential retirement. Obviously, with the head coach in waiting that he has right now, but he also said, I'm probably not going to be in this chair next year during his press conference. So that definitely counts for something. That's probably going to be a last dance type of year for Kyle Whittingham and Cam Rising for that matter.
Guys, Alex Blackburn is joining me today on Sports Bites. He is the Big 12 lead national columnist for the College Football Dogs. He is out in Vegas, scorching away in the sun. He was out at the Raiders stadium, and it's kind of cool how they moved him into the stadiums now. I want to ask you about Kansas State. I know you're a Kansas guy, but Kansas State intrigues me this year. There's a lot of people that kind of have them potentially in the college football playoff. Kleinman, obviously used to a lot of success. Avery Johnson, what he kind of brings to the table. What are your thoughts on K-State and what they bring to the Big 12 this year?
They're going to have probably the best backfield, in my opinion, in the entire Big 12 and perhaps in the entire country. I mean, Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens, Dylan Edwards, and just a stacked group back there that offers up a lot of versatility. That backfield is going to be extremely dangerous. And, they lost Cooper Beebe. They lost a decent portion of their offensive line. But you got guys like Hadley Panzer there and guys that replace the quote-unquote K-State beef, which is what they're lovingly called as, given the Western Kansas roots and everything like that. You've got guys that can easily replace them. So, this offense for Kansas State is going to be stacked. And when you take a look at their defense as well, that's a defense that's especially a front seven that is loaded to the brim as well. They're a physical defense that has a ton of weight, has a ton of experience, and will just beat up on anybody in the Big 12. I mean, you got to be ready for just a street brawl with this defense. So overall, I think Kansas State has as good of a chance as Utah to win the Big 12 title. I mean, obviously, they're 1-2 in the preseason poll, but I would say Kansas State might, in my opinion, jumps Utah. And this is coming from a Kansas fan. I think Kansas is going to be right there in the mix as well as Oklahoma State. But Kansas State, I think, is the team to beat this year in the Big 12.
Alex Blackburn joining me live from Vegas covering Big 12 Media Day. I've got pulled up the graphic. Here is the 2024 Big 12 Football Media preseason poll. People voting for it. Obviously, not a lot of thought to what Arizona State's going to do. Houston, really won't be a good team this year. Was there any team as far as where they are ranked that kind of surprised you, either on the good or the bad side?
I'm a little surprised at Texas Tech's ranking. Texas Tech, I think, is ranked a little low. They've got a lot. Yeah, they've got an offensive line that loses a lot of pieces from last year. Pretty much everybody except Caleb Rogers. But they did a great job in replacing him. And I was talking to Rogers today, and he said, that cohesion, that chemistry, and that unity is team-wide. And the offensive line is no exception, even though they've got a ton of transfer pieces coming in. He as a leader said that his leadership style has jumped exponentially. And he, as well as the offensive line coaches that are there, the new offensive line coach in Clay McGuire is a former Texas Tech guy himself. They are all in on making sure that the cohesion, the energy, and the chemistry is at an all-time high. So I like Texas Tech. I think the returners that they have coming in are solid returners to great returners that will make this all-conference team. So having them ranked at 9, I think they outrank Iowa State. I think they outrank UCF. West Virginia, I think, could be ranked higher. I think you change Arizona and West Virginia and you put Texas Tech at around 6, I'd say, as well as West Virginia at 5 and then Arizona State at 7. So that's kind of where I would change
Plus,
those.
Lubbock, you're in the conference and coming from an Oklahoma guy, weird stuff happens in Lubbock.
Right.
The students get into it. They start flinging tortillas at players. I mean, they really have a good time. Who do you think is your surprise team to make a run at the Big 12 title this year?
I think it's West Virginia.
Okay.
West Virginia is Garrett Green is arguably the best dual threat quarterback in the nation right now. He is so underrated. And, looking at his numbers from last year, as well as the returning running backs that he has coming, that's going to be another dangerous backfield in the Big 12 that is absolutely chock full of them. And to top that with a wide receiver core that has depth and experience, now the sky's the limit for West Virginia, in my opinion. And yeah, they had some injury issues last year on their defense, but they still went 9-4, and they got riddled with injuries. So I really think West Virginia is the strongest contender in terms of the teams that aren't being talked about enough. So
yeah, you go Neil Brown starts a season last year on the hot seat to where, again, Garrett Green, the guys you have there, you'll get a chance to talk to them tomorrow. I pulled up now the Wednesday slate, which is probably I would say the most anticipated day because of, you got Gus Malzahn, you got KJ Jefferson, you got Prime and Shador and Shiloh and Travis Hunter, like everything involved with what is become Colorado football. Watching Arizona, Noah Fafita and McMillan, his teammate, there's some really heavy hitters. And let's not forget about Kansas. Jalen Daniels, Devin Neal, who has been unbelievable in Big 12 play. I think one of the most consistent running backs in all of the country the last couple of years. But I know you're a Kansas guy, so you're excited to talk to Kansas, but are you a little bit excited to hear from Prime himself and some of the guys, Shador and Shiloh?
I am intrigued. They're great media material, I must say. They know how to go viral, and they know how to definitely be one of the a couple of the more inflammatory personalities in college football. I think Deion Sanders is the most inflammatory guy in college football right now. And it's interesting to me where they're placed in the preseason poll, because I think that's going to get under, guys like Shador or guys like Deion. I think that's going to get under their skin, because I think, with Shador being ranked among some of the best quarterbacks in this year's upcoming draft, as well as just being ranked as one of the better quarterbacks in college football right now, I think they're going to want that respect on their name. But we'll see, because this is also a team that went 4-8 last year. This is a team that really, really struggled along the offensive line, and that did not get a whole lot better. It did, they have one of the top transfer classes in the nation, but in terms of offensive line additions, there's really not much to be talked about there. They kind of lost out on some solid recruits, as well as just lost kind of a bunch of key pieces. So Colorado is probably the biggest boom or bust team not only in the Big 12 but in college football. So I'm really intrigued to see what they have to say regarding what the media is saying about them right now. So.
Well, and I know there's a lot of former Big Eight teams, Kansas, Kansas State, kind of renewing that rivalry with Colorado and going to Boulder and everything. Stat Pat, what up, Stat Pat? How you doing, buddy? I want to ask you. So you're a Kansas guy. Obviously, Lance Leopold, what he's doing, he's changing the culture there. I mean, Mangino had it going early, with Reasoning and those guys. Les could never get it going. But as a Kansas guy, what is your thoughts on what Lance is doing, and what do you feel the ceiling is for the Jayhawks this year?
I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, it truly is. To take this team that was the laughing stock of the college football world, an absolute dumpster fire, and just take that and put them into the contender conversation 4 years into your tenure at the place is absolutely unreal. I mean, it is. I've seen a lot of people compare it to the Bill Snyder era at Kansas State. When Snyder came in, Kansas State football wasn't worth their salt in the slightest, and he made them a contender within a few years. And I think what Lance Leipold has done is take a program that was worse than that pre-Snyder Kansas State program and given them the opportunity to be a powerhouse for years to come. And I think part of that, obviously falls on Lance Leipold, but a big part of that also falls on the athletic director, Travis Goff, who was hired in the same year as Lance Leipold. Travis Goff has completely turned around this football program with the hires that he's made and the buying into football that he's done for Kansas. Obviously, football is becoming more and more important as a revenue sport. And, frankly speaking, I think Travis Goff sees the writing on the wall and is making the right moves to position Kansas as a conference powerhouse, but also a football team that has staying power and can be a program to be reckoned with for years to come.
So I got to ask you, obviously the Big 12 has recently been known for explosive offense, Heisman Trophy winners at quarterback, RG3, Baker, those guys. There is a really solid list of quarterbacks this year, again, in the Big 12. If you had to pick your first team, second team, third team quarterbacks right now, who would they be? Because, I mean, you got Noah Fafita, Shador, KJ Jefferson's now in the league, Jalen Daniels. I mean, there's some talented quarterbacks in the
There's no shortage of them. And even guys like Baron Morton, Alan Bowman, and those guys, Garrett Green, they have the ability to be right up there with the guys that you mentioned. For me personally, the top three quarterbacks in the Big 12, I think Noah Fafita is number one. I think all around he is a great quarterback that, has a good situation with guys like Teataro and McMillan and just the wide receiver core in general that he has. But he's a threat just by himself. You could give him a wide receiver core that, is pretty average, and he'd still make them look pretty good. And he can kill you with his feet too. So overall, I think he is the best all-around quarterback in the Big 12. Now, here's where it gets complicated because a lot of people would say Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur is great. I think Garrett Green is better. And that's my hot take. I think Garrett Green is the better quarterback, and we are going to see that this upcoming year. So I would say Garrett Green, Shedeur Sanders, And then Jalen Daniels, if he stays healthy, would be in that conversation as well. That's a major if. And then obviously, like you said, Cam Rising, KJ Jefferson will be in that conversation. But as of now, I would say Fafita, Green, Sanders.
So we got some questions here. Got to put them up for you. Vandy Chris asks, if given the opportunity, would you ask Shedeur Sanders about the report of him and Cam Rising getting into it recently? I thought it was Cam Ward.
Yeah, it was Cam Ward.
That was Cam Ward, yeah.
I might ask that for sure. I saw the video and it kind of looks.
Ward,
Do what? I'm sorry.
Kudos to Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I think it shows a really competitive mindset, and it shows that you want to be accountable, and you're not going to play into this, pretty boy, look at me, I want to go viral attitude that I feel like Shedeur Sanders and Prime has. It would be okay if they backed it up. But, a 4-8 season where, Shedeur didn't look his best. And, yeah, I get it. There were injuries along the offensive line and whatnot. But he still didn't look great. And just given all those problems, they have no right to talk like that, and they need to be held accountable. So I agree. Props to Cam Ward for speaking his mind.
Right. Alex Blackburn, the College Football Dogs Big 12 lead national columnist joining here on Sports Bites tonight. He is live in Las Vegas. And just want to let you know, guys, we've got almost 400 people in here right now. All right. Go ahead, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're going to continuing to have a lot of great content. We've got people covering ACC Media Day. Tim Bailey says Oklahoma's going to run the SEC. No, they're not. No, they're not. I know people are waiting for Tim Bailey to come back on and be on the College Villains with Andrew, and I'm sure they're gonna let him have it. So that kind of leads me into this. You wrote an article, obviously July 1st, it became official. University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma separated from the Big 12. They are now in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I read it. I thought it was exceptionally well wrote.
Thank you.
But my question is, and of course I'm an Oklahoma guy. Yeah. Do you think that's the consensus around the Big 12 as far as from the fan base?
I think there is that consensus of, good riddance, because I go back to the comments that Brett Yormark made, and he said that what he's seen since introducing these new schools and saying goodbye to Texas and Oklahoma, he's seen a lot more cohesion among the athletic directors. There's been more progress in getting things done. And there's almost a brighter outlook now. I wouldn't say necessarily that, with the departure of Texas and Oklahoma, you're losing that competitive edge in the Big 12 because of the teams that were added and because this league is going to be better top to bottom. And, it's not going to be top heavy anymore. And I think Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC allows for them to have not necessarily better competition, but competition that's more consistently good that they can test their mettle against. Because,
right.
Obviously, you've got your Georgias, your Alabamas, your LSUs, et cetera, that have been good year in and year out. Meanwhile, in the Big 12, you got teams like Kansas State that have their good years. You've got teams that have these good years, but, a year later can either A, fall off, or B, kind of just fall by the wayside for one reason or another. You look back at, 2007 Kansas and these fluke Big 12 teams,
Didn't they play Missouri 1-2 at Arrowhead?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I was at that game. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
It was freezing, but great time other than the Kansas loss, obviously. But,
Right.
yeah, I mean, you've got more of these fluke teams in the Big 12 than you do in the SEC. So I liked – I forget who it was, but basically what he said was the thing about the SEC is it is a more consistent conference. You have to win more consistently in order to be successful than you do in the Big 12. And I think now that Texas and Oklahoma are gone and the conference is less top heavy, I think you have more opportunity for that to develop in the Big 12. So,
well, I mean, you can look at the Big 12 basketball conference, and it is the number one basketball conference. It only got stronger with there. Do you think? And I'm trying to figure out the proper way to word this because yes, I'm an Oklahoma guy, but do you think there's any type of resentment because other schools weren't asked and that it was Oklahoma and Texas? Because obviously, we can talk about Kansas. Their basketball program, it stands on its own. Stands on its own. I mean, it's going to make whatever conference they go to better. Do you think some of that is because, I mean, for me, it was a great business decision for both of them.
Yeah.
But do you think that there's some of that resentment that it was those two?
I wouldn't necessarily think so. I mean, obviously, I don't really think that geographics matter a ton, but geographically it does make sense. Business decision wise, Texas makes a ton of money off of football. Oklahoma makes a ton of money off of football, while, teams like Kansas, yeah, they're making a lot of money in basketball and they're very successful in basketball, but basketball is not the moneymaker. And I think what we've seen as far as the trends in college athletics right now is if you're not making money in football, then these big conferences that, could eventually absorb everybody else, like they're saying, like a bunch of media pundits have said, they're looking at football. And
right.
While, guys like Greg Pfluger and others said, football's not the only thing that they look at, et cetera, it's the main thing that they look at. I know it's not the only thing that they look at, but it is the main thing that they look at. And they looked at the programs of Texas and Oklahoma and said, these are teams that can win consistently. We want and bring in a ton of revenue. We want these teams. So
my thing, and I'll say this, even as an Oklahoma fan, the thing that I hate, and you bring up Texas making all the money, I hate that Oklahoma fans are buying the Texas logos to put upside down on their car. That money still goes to Texas.
Exactly.
It doesn't go to Oklahoma. Just because you're putting the horns upside down on your car, it's not going to OU. And even that, when when Oklahoma is playing TCU, don't throw the horns down. You're not playing Texas. I'd always hate that. You'd be in Columbia playing Missouri, and you'd see the horn. I'm like, that's why they always say rent free in your head, man. I mean, break it out there in the Cotton Bowl when you're there, but nah. Let's see. Vandy Chris has a question. So I have an interesting question for Lance Leipold. Did he pattern what he was doing at Kansas after what James Franklin did in his time at Vanderbilt? The parallels are strikingly similar. And like you said, I mean, I guess Leipold was one of the finalists for that job. Do you think Leipold is using this as kind of a stepping stone, or do you think he's in it kind of for the long haul to help grow this program and change the culture and everything at Kansas?
That's a really hot topic in the Kansas world right now. He just signed an extension or a restructured contract. I think he is in it for the long haul. He has stated time and again that him and his family love Kansas, that they're bought into what Travis Goff is doing at Kansas, and wants to be a part of that football program, not only revival, but it's taking the football program to new heights. And I think that's what sets him apart from the James Franklin situation at Vanderbilt is, he was offered these big time jobs at Washington. I know that he was rumored 2 years ago to be going to Nebraska, Wisconsin, and all these other different jobs, but he still chose Kansas. And I think that says a lot about his character as not only a coach, but an individual of, I'm bought in. I want to bring this program that has given me so much to new heights, and I want to be there for when they can reap the benefits and reap the rewards. So I think that's what sets him apart from James Franklin is he's a program developer, and you could even see it at his days at Wisconsin Whitewater and at Buffalo. He's not going to leave a situation, and Buffalo is kind of worse for wear right now. But
Thanks,
while he was
Turner
at
Gill.
Buffalo,
Like, thanks, Turner Gill, for that one.
yeah, right. But there's a difference between what he's doing at Kansas versus what James Franklin did at Vanderbilt. I think he's got Kansas set up to win for the long term and wants to be there for the long term. So,
a couple more questions, Alex. I want to let you get out of there. Obviously, a lot of buzz around college football is the release of NCAA 25. I saw one of the pictures you posted of the actual cover, everything. And, of course, now you're going to have Shador or Travis Hunter there tomorrow, one of the cover athletes. Was there much talk about the college football game amongst the players?
Oh, yeah, definitely. A lot of guys, we're talking about their ratings for sure.
Yeah.
I know Cam Rising was asked about it, and I think one of the comments was, "So your experience is at 99 now, right?" or something like that. And it was a lot of fun kind of hearing what they had to say about their ratings. A lot of guys, had a really good attitude about it, of just like, what do you mean I'm only ranked 88 on my contested catch? I should be ranked 99 and stuff like that. There wasn't anybody that was like really super bitter about it, and I think that's mainly because this game is 10 years in the making. I mean, we went from not seeing an NCAA football game for the foreseeable future to, having this game coming out and having all these people just super excited for it. And I think that has really improved the mood of, it really sets the mood apart from when Madden players have their ratings revealed and, when Maddens are revealed. There's a lot more excitement in the air and a lot more positivity for the future. So,
speaking of the game, I had to show you this. I don't know if you saw this today. Reports out: EA Sports paid Arch Manning between $50,000 and $60,000 to promote EA college football. Of course, now he's in the game, as he says. When at first he came out and said he wasn't. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they paid Donovan Edwards, if they paid Travis Hunter, Quinn Ewers, extra because they're cover guys. But obviously, this is more than the $600 that everybody's heard about. I mean, for a guy that's not even a starter.
Yeah.
I mean, I just foresee some big problems, from if this is actually true. I see some big problems. People like, hey, either pay me that or take my name out of the game or, something like that. But the whole Arch thing, it still just cracks me up as far as, where he is. But what do you think about them paying him $60,000 to promote the game?
If it's true, I chalk it up to nepotism, and I agree that it could lead to further problems. One of the big things that was a talking point at media days today was, how our antitrust law is going to be in effect regarding this new era of college athletics. And obviously, it kind of takes part in it of, if he earns that much, then I should earn this much, and so on. Are college athletes going to have the ability to negotiate those kind of things and, have collective bargaining agreements, have players associations? Obviously, you had the situation of what happened at Dartmouth a couple years back of players unionizing. This, I don't want to say is necessarily a slippery slope, but this may be a catalyst for those types of things to really gain some ground. So,
Well, I got to ask. So the show is Sports Bites.
mm-hmm.
I always talk about sports. I talk about food. I've brought up many times being at different games and what stadiums would give you good food, what stadiums wouldn't. Big 12 Media Day, I still remember, was always really good food. Now, it was in Dallas, so I think we had barbecue one day, which, again, you're in Texas for barbecue. You really can't go wrong there. And I know they did like a taco night, stuff like that. What did they feed you guys today?
So we got cold cuts for lunch, as well as some barbecue sandwiches, some like little barbecue sliders. Breakfast was pretty, standard. Overall, it was just like your average like continental hotel breakfast. That was pretty good. Don't get me wrong; it was better than the plastic eggs that some of these hotels serve. But overall, it was pretty standard breakfast. And then for lunch, they did have those barbecue sliders. But other than that, it was kind of just like your standard cold cuts, chips, and salad. So may have been a little bit of a downgrade from those Arlington days. But for their first time being in Vegas, I'm sure they're still trying to figure things out. We'll see what tomorrow brings.
TJ,
just kind of go from there.
All I'm hearing is the Icky Woods commercial. Woo, get some cold cuts. Alex, man, tell everybody where they can find your stuff. Again, you're writing some really good articles, and coming from, a longtime Big 12, reporter, now very fortunate that the team that I love is coming to the conference where I live in Birmingham, which is the epicenter of the SEC. I'm always going to have an affinity for the Big 12, for the Big 8. I mean, I grew up watching. I still haven't forgiven Kansas for the 89 Danny and the Miracles, when they beat Billy Tubbs in the Sooners, a 50-50 game at halftime. But, man, it's always going to be a part of me because I was in it for so long. Like I said, you go back to Raycom basketball and some of the coaches that used to be in the Big 8 when you had Danny Nee, Norm Stewart. Orr at Iowa State. There were so many great historic coaches. But Alex, I know you got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of articles. You're pumping out audio clips, stuff like that. How can people, if they're wanting to find out about the Big 12, how can they find your stuff?
So I do have Twitter. It's at the Burn CFD. I've got Facebook at Alex Blackburn, LinkedIn, just your standard socials, of course. But I also have the Burn KC, which is my own personal Kansas City sports broadcasts. You can find any more content if you really like me over there, any more musings specifically about Kansas City sports. But for Big 12 stuff, go follow the Burn CFD. Go follow my Facebook, Instagram. It's all under Alex Blackburn. Alex Blackburn 54 for Instagram. But obviously, I'm College Football Dogs. I'm the College Football Dogs Big 12 lead national columnist. So go follow collegefootballdogs.com and everything about collegefootballdogs.com, dog media, all the different writers that helped me today get those Big 12 stories out and just support College Football Dogs because we're one of the fastest growing.
Look, see, there you go. Thank you right there.
Thank you very much.
Check them out. I will say that I'm envious of Bobby Witt Jr. because he committed to Oklahoma. That's where everybody, his whole family went to Oklahoma. Of course, Oklahoma never got to see him for obvious reasons. I mean, he's now one of the best players in Major League Baseball. Quick, before we let you go, you mentioned Kansas City. Do the Chiefs do it again this year?
I think they have every shot to, and I believe that with a brand new wide receiver core that doesn't have Walmart cashiers for it.
How good.
I think they have every shot to, and they're definitely going to win the AFC West again. And I think they have a great shot at winning the Super Bowl again too for that three-peat. So
now I'm going to ask you this. This is a very loaded question because you know how the fan base can be. What were your thoughts on the whole Travis and Taylor thing?
Oh my gosh. As long as she makes as long as she makes Travis happy, I suppose, and as long as they're happy together, I got no say in the matter. But that being said, I'm not a fan of Taylor Swift music. Not a Swiftie in the slightest. Don't come for me. But overall, as long as Travis and Taylor are happy, that's all that matters. And I get it. It was kind of shoved down people's throats, but again, as long as it's a happy relationship, a real, genuinely happy relationship and not one for the cameras, let them live.
Well, I'll say this. I'm taking my wife to London in August to see Taylor Swift. And so I've been watching it's the real deal. Like I'd love to see them win, especially with Hollywood coming in, and Patrick Mahomes was so fun to watch. That game with Patrick and Baker it was unbelievable to watch that game back and forth with Joe Mixon and P. Ryan. I mean, talent across the whole board. But Alex, man, I appreciate you taking the time out to come on. I'm definitely going to have you on during the season to talk about some of the Big 12 matchups that are coming up. As we get into to the meat of football season. Now, are you playing the game? Are you watching the game?
Are you talking about NCAA?
Yeah.
So I am actually not up to date on my consoles. I need to get up to date on my consoles before I get the game, but I certainly will be watching it, if not playing it I hope to be playing it by the end of the year. So,
well, you could come over because I'm off those 2 days, and I'm just going to be streaming content for 2 days straight of building dynasties. And I'm actually getting ready to write an article on the top 5 schools that you could build a dynasty with based on uniform selection, recruiting footprint, stadium, and history. So there's going to be some, don't be like, well, who are you going to build your dynasty? I'm going to build Ohio State. Get out of here with that. Let's have it. But Alex, man, you're doing a phenomenal job with us here at the College Football Dogs. You're doing a great job out there at Big 12 Media Day. I mean, I know a lot of it can be kind of overwhelming at times because there's so much stuff going on, but great content, guys. If you want any information about the Big 12, Alex and the College Football Dogs is where you need to go. I'll let you go so you can get some rest and stuff, man. I appreciate it, Alex.
Thank you very much, Chris. Pleasure having me. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Alex Blackburn. And I'm going to tell you what, and I wanted to talk about the article and give him an opportunity to talk about it because, yes, I read it. And again, even as an Oklahoma fan, I'm very aware of how Oklahoma fans can be, i.e., you see Tim Bailey, saying that Oklahoma's going to run the SEC. But we'll dig into that into SEC play and stuff. But guys, again, just watch the College Football Dogs. All right, we've got guys that are obviously Alex is at Big 12 Media Day. We'll have guys at ACC Media Day. We've got great coverage. Anything you want to know about college football, the College Football Dogs have you covered. You like Group of 5? Watch the Sun Belt Syndicate. You want some NFL talk? Watch Football Frame of Mind. Those guys, some of the stuff they do is awesome. I've been talking with them for a little bit, about possible collabs, get some ideas from each other. The Golden Boot does a great job talking about SEC, talking about football in general, and that's why I'm excited about Sports Bites and the Boot. really doing kind of like a collaboration when the season starts, preview, recap game, let them handle that stuff out there. But it's going to be an extremely fun football season. And I tell people the college football dogs right now is one of those things that, when you look down the road and you see the trajectory of what's happening, you don't want to be one of the people that's like, I should have jumped on it then. I should have jumped on it then, because it's growing. We've only been around a year. Hey, and we had the press release. We have an official partnership with the Maxwell Football Club, the Maxwell Award, the Bednarik. I mean, it's unbelievable. And we're going to try to have some guests on, possible former Maxwell Award winners, maybe possible, Bednarik Award winners. Thank you, TJ. Football Dogs Be at Me, ACC, Sun Belt, Conference USA, the SoCon. I mean, we're going to have you covered, and I'll have all our reporters that are there on this show. I've already talked to Dominic, who's going to be at ACC. I'm sure one of the Sun Belt guys, I need to talk to them, get the Sun Belt Syndicate on, and we're going to talk college football. And it's what I love to do. It's what my passion. I love talking about football. I love talking about food. I love interacting with everybody on here. Informal greeting said, great stuff, y'all. Hope you two get together as the season progresses. Oh, you may have gone elsewhere, but I will always follow the Big 12. I feel the same. Yes, I'm very happy, and I'm very excited to the fact that Oklahoma is now in the SEC. I live in Birmingham. I've already got tickets to the Auburn game. It's just I'm going to get to see more of the team that I've always pulled for, the team that I covered. I really haven't. But man, I brought this up, that add to the state. The Big 12 preseason media poll: Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Arizona as your top 5. Willie Fritz takes over a bad Houston team. They've got a good quarterback, and they've got some potential there. Colorado, I want to see what's going to happen. Now, I tell people all the time, Prime has always been that way, because we were doing a thing with him at the radio station I was at, and I had to call him, and he's the only grown-ass man that answered the phone. It's prime time, baby. I was like, really? That's how you answer the phone? I'm intrigued with KJ Jefferson at UCF. I think that's going to be, they've got some great receivers. Kansas, can Kansas do it? Kyle Whittingham in Utah is going to bring that physicality. That's why, Utah, Kansas State, just be an absolute, just a gutter war. But this brings me into my, I do every week, I do a would you rather. And I do it like for college. So guys, pay attention. And in this, I've done quarterbacks like I did. Who would you rather have? Cam or Vince Young? Deshaun Watson or Joe Burrow? So in that, really talking about this one, it's coaches, but I'm going to take you back some. And I want to know, who would you rather have if you were starting a college football team and you needed a college football coach? You had your choice of these two guys. Who would you take? Barry Switzer, the King, or Bobby Bowden? Two of the all-time greats. Now, I know Bobby had a longer history in college football than Barry did. Obviously, a couple different stops, West Virginia, but what he did at Florida State, that run from the late 80s to the early 2000s, when Florida State was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. 2 Heisman Trophy winners. You think about Bowden's record, 40 years, he was 357, 154, and 4. Had 6 years at West Virginia, 24 All-Americans under his tutelage. He was 22 and 10 and 1 in bowls, 2 Heisman Trophy winners. Well, should only be 1 because Chris Weinke shouldn't have won it in 2000. But Chris Weinke and Charlie Ward, 2 Heismans and 2 national championships in 93 and 99. On that other side, you go to Barry Switzer. He only coached 16 years, had an 84% winning percentage, right? 157, 29, and 4. 8 and 5 in bowl games, 22 consensus All-Americans. He had 1 Heisman Trophy winner in Billy Sims. Perfected the wishbone. Was the Walter Camp Coach of the Year. 3 national championships. 74, 75, and 85 when he did it with the freshman Jamel Holloway, Keith Jackson, Bosworth, Tony Casillas, Jason Belzer, just good stuff, right? Great teams. So who would you rather have? And I want to see you answer in the comments. Would you rather have Barry Switzer? Of course, I think Oklahoma still has the record for most rushing yards in a game, or average for a season was 470 in that wishbone. But what Bobby Bowden did, he had guys. You're bringing in, Derek Brooks, and just great athletes. I mean, I remember watching Derek Brooks as a kid and just being terrified because that guy was a monster. But Florida State is always cool. The Seminole, it's good. They're two different eras, but here's the thing I give both of these coaches. I think both of these coaches are exceptional recruiters, and that's what made them successful. TJ, I think my bias of not liking the option wishbone style of offense leans me toward Bowden, but I like Switzer as a coach. And there's a lot of people who don't like the option. I mean, the option back in the day, when you think about teams that ran it, like Oklahoma, Nebraska, the big schools that ran it and ran it well, you didn't have the running backs that were gaining, 15, 1,600 yards, because you had 3 or 4 backs carrying it for 700 yards apiece, plus a quarterback. I still I bring it up, TJ. I asked my former co-host, Teddy Lehman. He was a linebacker at Oklahoma, Butkus Award winner, All-American. I'm going to have him on here in a couple weeks before the start of the season. But I remember I asked him one time, who was the toughest non-conference opponent that you ever faced? And he, without hesitation, said Air Force. And he said, because they're so fundamentally sound. And defending the wishbone, you have to be fundamentally sound. Because if you don't keep your gap integrity, you don't, pitch, you're going to get eaten up. Only time I like the option is during Army Navy. I still like watching it a little bit, man. I still like watching a little bit just because, like I said, it's very nostalgic for me. Growing up in Oklahoma, watching. I still don't understand why Troy Aikman went there in the first place when he left Henrietta. I think Barry told him he was going to run a different offense. He ends up breaking his leg against Miami. We all know what happened. He goes to UCLA, has a lot of success, and Jamel Holloway wins the national championship. But so now, I always talk about food, right? Always talk about food. And this is one of my favorite segments.
We're gonna count it down real quick. Top 6 sports bites mix. What's popping in your town? We're bringing it all around. Give them a sixer, top sixer. We're here to fix ya. Best of the best, ain't no mess. Time to impress. 6 foods that'll blow your mind, from breakfast to dinner time. 6 sports making the news, highlights you can't refuse. Pop culture, don't forget what's trending on the internet. 6 ways to keep you lit. Stay in the know, don't quit. Give them a sixer, top sixer. We're here to fix ya. Best of the best, ain't no mess. Time to impress.
It is time for the Give 'em a Sixer top 6 this week. I'm ranking, in my opinion, and I want to see your all's opinions because I know I'm going to piss some people off. All right. I know. Braun Breaker. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's extreme. What they clock him at? 23 miles an hour running the ropes, something crazy like that. But my Give 'em a Sixer top 6. Everyone has a top 5, a top 10. My touchdown call was give him a sixer. So I do a top 6, whether it be food, sports, pop culture, whatever. I have a top 6. This week, my top 6 is top 6 fast food chicken sandwiches. I'm a big boy. I like my chicken sandwiches. And I'm kind of particular about it. Now, I live in the South. Again, I said I live in Birmingham. There's a lot of places around here that, you really don't have, in the Midwest where I was at. But where I'm at now, and I know I'm going to make some people mad when I get near the top. But my number 6, Bojangles. Little Bo chicken sandwich, the brioche bun, crispiness. I like it. It's not my first choice, but I really like the Bojangles chicken sandwich. For me, that's in my top That's top 6. Number 5, Popeyes. Now, during the whole thing during COVID, when like everyone's dying for this sandwich, I had to go out and get it. And I would say I wasn't that impressed with the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Everyone had to have it. It was okay. Kind of messy, which I don't mind. I like messy burgers. That's why I've always been a Whopper fan. But I like Popeyes. Number 4, big here in the South, Jack's. Now, Jack's has a couple different chicken sandwiches that I like, right? I like chicken sandwiches. Sometimes you got to watch the pickles, okay? And I'll tell you why. I don't like mushy cucumbers on my damn sandwich. I like a crispy pickle. I want a little snap to it, right? So if you got these little flimsy, no, get it the hell off my sandwich. I want crispy pickles that you can snap into. Jack's has always done me right. I know people in the South are going to like Jack's. Now, this is where I'm going to start to piss some people off, especially down here in the South. My number 3, the Lord's Chicken. Chick-fil-A. I mean, it's good. But again, they put it in that steam bag, and sometimes the bun gets a little mushy. They use flimsy pickle. Their spicy chicken is just, it's okay. It's not the greatest. But I've got Chick-fil-A at number 3. I know there's a lot of people that say that's the best chicken sandwich. We invented the chicken sandwich. You're not like KFC. You don't have 13 secret herbs and spicy. You marinate it in pickle juice, guys. There's your secret. But that's my number 3. Now, number 2, I'm going to surprise some people, okay? This is only recently. Something quick, filling, a good bite. I like the McDonald's hot and spicy McChicken with bacon and cheese. Bacon and cheese. I mean, you can't go wrong adding bacon and cheese to it, right? Anything. It's good. We've got 540 people in here right now. Guys, what's your thoughts? My number one, the Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich. The Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich is the GOAT. And I also like it because you can get it different, the Parmesan, like that. It's just great. Now they put a tomato on theirs, which again, with the spicy chicken, I love that kind of coolness from the tomato. I like mayonnaise. I know there's a lot of people who aren't big mayonnaise fans, but I like it. I like mayonnaise. For me, my top 6, give them a 6er. Number 1 fast food chicken sandwich is Wendy's. Wendy's. Now, I've got a video I got to show you guys before I get out of here. 540 people in here, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, follow. We got a lot of great content coming for you this football season. We're going to talk food, sports, bourbon, whatever. We're going to have a good time. But for those who have watched the show, I'm a huge shark fan. My wife laughs at me because one of my bucket list things is I want to go cage diving with sharks. I want to swim with a great white. I know I look like a big snack. Food, and football. That's right, Sarah. That's right. The chicken fills my, and I get it. Like I said, I'm there's people that love the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. I can't. Sometimes that bag makes it too mushy. TJ says, I'm too picky of an eater for sauces and veggies. Give me a chicken sandwich with ketchup on it. What are you, Will Levis? Putting ketchup on, are you putting mayonnaise in there? Ooh, great question, Sarah. What is your favorite tailgate food? Man, you can't go wrong with a beer boiled brat and then putting it on the grill. Like some spicy mustard you could chew, a nice cold beer. I'd have to say, tailgate food like a nice brat. That would be mine. TJ says no mayo for me. I know. But everyone knows I love sharks. There's a video that recently surfaced, and I think it's in Australia. I want you guys to watch this. This is why you don't go in the ocean. It's shark soup. For those of you not watching live, there are hundreds of sharks. These guys are fishing in the ocean. There's hundreds of sharks. And I'm feeding frenzy around the boat. They are literally surrounded by sharks. I don't know what set them off. I don't know if these guys were putting chum in the water trying to get, but there's literally hundreds of sharks. Either side, in front of them,
It's so good wet.
to the side, to the right, to the left. There's sharks everywhere. Everywhere. Why you don't boat in the ocean? But that's crazy. The amount of sharks that were there. What are they doing? I'm down for beer brats. No mayo for me either. Now, I will say this. Homemade mayo is where it's at. A little egg, a little olive oil. You can kind of control the seasoning, a little Dijon in there, make you a nice little homemade mayo. I know still some of you are like, nah, I'm not in that. But, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me tonight. And I just want to say thank you. 556 people. That's the most people I've had in here on this broadcast. And let's see, Sarah. I mean, that boat had 4 motors. They could leave if they want to. I agree, but if you watch, I don't know if the propellers would have started. I mean, you'd be chopping up sharks. I mean, I know that some people say it doesn't matter. Chop them up, get them out of there. Thank you, TJ. I appreciate it. Appreciate all your hard work. TJ does a lot of good stuff for the College Football Dogs, making sure we've got press releases, continuing information from SIDs. Really good. But for everybody that came in, thank you. If you commented, thank you for participating. I love just engaging and talking with people that love to talk about sports, food. I try to keep it to where shark broth. Now, I've never had shark, just because they say it's not the best way to eat. But if it's from the ocean, I'll eat it. I mean, I've had octopus. It doesn't matter. If it's from the water, I'll eat it. I could eat my body weight in shrimp, which that's saying a lot. Well, stay tuned, Sarah. There's going to be a lot of food talk. I've got guys coming on. Games that we're going to. I'm gonna have people interviewing and doing some game day tailgates. Like I did some of that this year in the UFL for the Birmingham Stallions. Go around to the tailgates. One really cool tailgate from the Horsemen. They said they always do their tailgate with a theme to who they're playing. I think it's a great idea. Great idea. But again, it's why I've always said I had an idea for a restaurant, a sports bar. It would be really hard. And after watching The Bear, if you guys are watching The Bear, you know what I'm talking about. The Bear is super stressful. But my restaurant idea would be called Top 10. Now, you have to control your food, costs, your waste, what your menu is. But the menu would change to whatever the top 10 is in college football or college basketball. So that way you kind of, spotlight a specific team. Now you have your appetizers, which would be Blue Bloods or something like that. But Clemson, whatever is popular in Clemson, South Carolina, you have that on the menu. Keep it short and simple. Don't be like the freaking Cheesecake Factory with a telephone book as a menu. That's how you know if it's good or not. If you go into a restaurant and they got like a 1-page menu, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Give me all that up in my face. But yeah, you have to really control the top 10. That's the name of it. Somebody wants it, just throw me about 10%. That's all I ask for. Stay tuned to the College Football Dogs, okay? Guys, on the Dog TV network, there's great shows. The College Sports Villains, always a lot of fun watching those guys. You've got Football Frame of Mind. You've got, Paul Talks Patriots, Dog Pound Discussions if you're into the NFL. If there's a conference you like, a team you like, the College Football Dogs have you covered, guys. And you can see right here on my little clip, You can see all my socials. I'm also on Rumble now. I did have one issue that it didn't transfer over to Rumble. I got to take a look at that and see what happened. But I'm on Rumble now, Sports Bites Podcast. You see on X at Sports Bites Pod 1. Follow on Sports Bites Pod on TikTok. I need to get back to being more creative on content. I used to do polls of the day. Subscribe to this podcast. If you're on YouTube, guys, just click the subscribe button, please. Got to get to this point to where we're doing a lot of good stuff covering college football. At Sports Bites Podcast, share it, let everybody know about it. Tell people, hey, this guy's an idiot. You need to go watch him, make fun of him in the comments, whatever. I just love talking sports, talking food. Instagram, follow at Sports Bites Podcast. Got to get some stuff. I will tell you, so coming up next week, trying to determine what I'm going to do, because I am I'm almost emotional about the NCAA football game coming out. I got away from gaming when that game was taken away. I recently got back into gaming in the last year or so, have a PC stuff, but this game, I can remember as a kid writing down in a notebook ideas for a college football game. And then it came out. And, generation now, you look back, the graphics, they were terrible, but it was great because it was college football. You could be your team. Wanted to hear the bands, the crap. But then it went away. Thanks, Ed O'Bannon. But it went away, and now it's back. 10 years. 10 years. And it's coming back. I've got it on order. I've got it on early release. I'm going to be off of work those 2 days, that Tuesday and Wednesday that it's released. So right here, Sports Bites Podcast, all right? YouTube. I'm going to be live streaming basically for 2 days. Getting into Dynasty mode, Road to Glory, hooking up with some of the other people that we've talked to and playing some cross-play games. We're going to have a league, I believe, in the college football dogs, so pay attention there. I'm sure we're trying to work that out, but I'm going to be playing college football, NCAA, and I might get a little emotional just because it's been so long, and I can't wait for the game. I like what I've seen so far. Watching the deep dive of the head-to-head play, loved it. The one-page menu places are the best. Sarah, I agree 100%. One-page menus, maybe in a Moose Boosh or something like that, and that's why I can't wait. So stay tuned, because not only that, I got to get a drink of water real quick. I apologize. Not only do we have the NCAA football game coming out, there's also going to be content from across the pond. All right. And I mentioned to Alex, I'm going to London in August, right before the season starts. This is before I started working with the college football dogs. And you guys say whatever you want. I'm excited about it. I'm taking my wife to London to watch Taylor Swift at Wembley Stadium. Not only that, but I now have tickets for Friday. So the concert is Thursday. Friday is the official start of Premier League soccer. And I'm going to be in London with tickets to watch the Manchester United play Fulham at Old Trafford. I can't wait. That's going to be amazing. You want to talk about food content? I'm going to be filming stuff all over. Fish and chips, Scotch eggs, the Borough Market. We're doing high tea because you know what? Fuck it. You got to do it when you're in London, right? You got to do high tea. I'll be bougie as hell. I don't care. I'm going to go do high tea in London, see what it's all about. Fish and chips. I've seen these videos. They're making fish and chips, man. Whoo! Stepson's a huge Chelsea. So here's the thing, TJ. He said Chelsea, a huge Chelsea fan. Chelsea's playing Man City that day. The cheapest ticket, that I have found for Chelsea, Man City is right about $800. And look, we're spending enough money, heading over there, but I get to watch Manchester United, one of the most storied football clubs in all of European soccer. The Reds are coming. It's going to be so much fun. We couldn't find any tickets for Wrexham. They're playing on the road that Monday. I know Monday, Tottenham is playing because where we're staying is going to be close to Tottenham. But yeah, Chelsea and Man City, almost $800. but I've got tickets to see Manchester United and Fulham. And it's great because the package that we got, it's through the Manchester Football Club, and we get early access to the sports bar. We get a free hot meal item, a free snack, and a free beverage. Hell yeah, I'm getting a pint. I'm going to be in with all the hooligans. I can't wait to see. I've never to see football at this level, the European football. It's going to be amazing. But again, there's going to be a lot of content out there. If you like the food, you like the sport, and the Olympics are just going to be ending. We're going to go to Paris. We were looking at going to Paris for a day or two, and it's the Olympics will just be ending. Which I can't wait to get into the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I love watching the Olympic weightlifting because I actually compete in it. I still compete in it. Past my days of going to the Olympics, but I've got some Masters Nationals. Possible next year I could be at Pan Am Games. Early access to the sports bar makes it worth. That's what sold my wife. She was like, hell yeah, early access, and you get halftime tea and coffee. We're gonna man you it up. Now, I will say this: I'm a little worried because we've rented a car, and I'm going to be driving in the English countryside, and I pray that I don't do a Chevy Chase when we go to Stonehenge, any place like that. I've been trying to watch videos. Any of you guys have any tips on how to drive over in Europe? If you've done it, please let me know. You can send it to any of my socials. If you have any tips about roundabouts, I've been watching YouTube videos and stuff on that, but I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of content brought forward to that. But again, guys, I want to thank you. I want to thank Hunter and Colin at the College Football Dogs for giving all of us that are involved in this right now the opportunity to live the dream again. When I was let go from the radio station I worked at, I thought that dream was gone. And College Football Dogs has given me that opportunity again. TJ said, stay to the left. TriStar just drove through Texas. It ain't the South. The South stops at Louisiana. Hey, I tell people the real UT is Tennessee, because if it wasn't for Tennessee, there'd be no Texas and all the volunteers that went down to Texas and helped save the, get that. So there we go. Apple juice paws up. I like your avatar with the Millennium Falcon right there at Disney. Good stuff. I like that. Last year, our trip was to Disney with all the kids, and it was amazing. Love going to Disney. Next time we're doing it just me and the wife, not the kids. They can, do whatever. He said, to hell with the Big 12. I need the Big 8. I miss it. I miss the Big 8, man. I miss. But again, that's one of the things I saw people talking about, like in the college football game. They're going to go back and redo the conferences. TJ, it's great to be at Tennessee Vol. Oh, I want to see both quarterbacks, Nico Iamaleava and Jackson Arnold. And I'm intrigued about that game. One, because it's the first official SEC game for Oklahoma, and with everything that they're going to be doing for Josh Heupel when he comes back. But, guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. Follow the College Football Dogs on all social media. Great articles, turning out content. Big 12 Media Day. Again, guys, it's just, man, just pay attention. Pay attention. We got some good stuff coming, guys. I want to say thank you. 588 people in at this time. I want to thank everybody who took the time out to watch, everybody that took the time out to participate. I thank you. I want you guys to have a good night, and I want you also to remember to positively move forward, guys.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Box with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bites.